Welcome to Spider-Verse Minute, the tri-weekly podcast where we watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 1 minute at a time. I'm Caroline Slater.
And I'm her brother Sean.
And today we are talking about minute 60. It begins with Aunt May seeing Peter B. Parker and ends a minute later with her leading the group to the shed.
And what did you title this minute?
The Dimension Brooklyn.
I really like that title. I think it's such a great subtle joke.
It's one of my favorite jokes.
Yeah.
Like, I latched onto that joke the first time I saw the movie. I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. Why are more people not talking about that? I think I should start a petition in New York that says, instead of asking, oh, what neighborhood or what borough do you live in, we ask what dimension you're from. Brooklyn, Inwood, you know.
There's a lot of really good, like, that little conversation between the three of them is just like really good, with Aunt May being like, are those sweats?
Yeah. Aunt May is shady.
Yeah. And like even Gwen's like, yes, that is what those are. Like the fact that I'm being seen with these people in their dress.
Like, I have a lot of mixed emotions right now.
Yeah.
At first, before we get to the more comedic bits, I want to talk about some of the serious stuff at the beginning, because it's so well done.
Yeah.
So, May's reaction to Peter breaks my heart. And then Peter just, like, kind of smiling, but then out of the side of his mouth saying, I'm not ready for this.
Yeah. He's like, I need to put on a good face for her.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much I can keep this up depending on how she reacts.
Well, and I didn't realize this until I was taking notes, but, like, May lost her Peter.
Yeah.
And then Peter B lost his May.
Yeah.
There's a lot of emotions happening right now. It's like...
Yeah, it's probably been a while since he's, seen her or heard her.
Yeah.
And so...
Like, no, I wouldn't be ready for that. So, it makes so much sense. It's less of, like, I don't want her to see me like this. It's more, it's like, I don't know if I'm ready to see her again. Like, it's gotta feel like seeing a ghost for both of them, in a way.
Yeah, like, how do you process that? But she does immediately go into, like, Aunt mode again, like, Aunt Mom mode again, where she's just like, you look, like, her you look tired is such a, like, you expect her to offer, like, come in, I have food.
Mm-hmm. Like, it's such a concerning, like, what's going on, son?
You look tired. Have you been eating? Are you wearing clean underwear? Like,
yeah.
It's the, that litany of questions that are always asked.
And going back before Aunt May comes up, after, like, we see her first reaction, did you notice that Miles looks at Peter?
Yeah, when Peter says, I'm not ready for this, and Miles looks over, like, it almost seems like Miles kind of also forgot, like, his...
Right?
Oh, wait, does Miles get a backstory from Peter? No, he doesn't.
Maybe he told them another time?
That's true, but we don't see that.
I just assume they all suddenly know each other's backstories after the comic transitions.
Miles almost seems a bit confused as to why, like, Peter wouldn't be ready for this. Either he doesn't remember Peter telling him his backstory, or he just never was told that. But such a great little... And he looks concerned as to, like, how both of them are gonna do.
Yeah.
And I love how Aunt May immediately goes into the, like, criticizing mode of the you look tired, like, the momly criticism of you look tired, but then she's also like, and you put on a little weight there.
But you look older.
Oh yeah.
And thicker.
Yeah.
And it's like, and once again we're back to the shape jokes with Peter.
Yeah, he's like, so I've been told. Yeah, and then cuts into this more kind of comedic, little upbeat in this.
Honestly, this scene does a lot of back and forth between the serious and the comedic. Because, like, it starts out very serious with Aunt May and Peter seeing each other for the first time. And then it gets to this very brief, lighthearted moment where she drops a bat. Which is a little funny, because it's like, oh, shock, drop something. But then you're like, wait, why does she have a bat?
Yeah. And then it kind of just, like, disappears. She drops it. You can tell that she was probably living in the city for a while. And for a while, and so she's like, okay, you have a bat next to the door.
Well, I can imagine too, like, yeah, like after like the reveal, like she's probably was already like on edge.
Yeah, it was probably just living with Spider-Man forever. Mm-hmm. She's like, well, someone might come to the house, better have a bat. And
now that it's fully revealed, she's like, I'm just going to always have the bat with me, just in case.
Although she was like, could you imagine if it was people just like coming to pay their respects and then she's just there with a bat? She's like, whoop.
It's like, look.
Yeah, so it gets kind of undercut with that joke, and then it jumps into the more serious of you look tired, you older, and then it gets undercut again with the thicker the sweatpants, Gwen's joke, and then like it goes back to the heavy moment where Miles was like, I'm so sorry, like I was there.
Well, before that, one thing I do want to point out, because then it kind of ties in with that Miles conversation, is May already knows about the alternate dimensions.
Yeah, she makes a guess about them.
Yeah, like she seems to already know about it, because she's just like, I'm from an alternate dimension. And they're all like, wait, she knew that? Like, how is that? What?
Yes,
Hold on a second.
That's exactly what it is. Good guess.
Like, that's actually, yeah. It's like Miles and Peter's like, wow, that was really a guess.
Yeah. And again, that's sort of in that, like, serious, like, it's a, you know, the heavier moment. But
yeah, that one's not like, a joke. That one's definitely
a bit
more
of
serious.
A, like, I guess shock.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have the joke again, and then Miles steps forward and he's has his apologizes and then asks if
before that, like before the apology, like in that moment, like something I really want to point out is like, I think this is kind of the first time Miles really tells anyone that he was actually there. Again, it's sort of similar as we talked about in the previous minute. Like, he sort of told Peter that he was there.
Yeah, and I really wish they had a chance to... Like, I don't feel like they have a chance to have a deeper discussion about that here. At least one that we don't see between... Miles and his guilt and how Aunt May feels. And like we had mentioned a couple minutes ago about how in the Ultimate comics at their like 2-year celebration, Miles has this really close relationship with or not really close, has a closer relationship with Peter's family. And like he gets to sort of talk about how he feels then. And we get to see more of that then. So, you know, maybe in the sequel they get to sit down and actually have that conversation, or at least, you know, talk through how both of them feel about everything. Because like it would be great to see the two of them interact.
I want more Miles and May.
Yeah.
Then it gets a little comedic again. May asks Miles what dimension he's from.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then he's just like, oh, it's Brooklyn. Doesn't even bother, like, saying it's this dimension. Yeah, it's such a great, like, again, small joke. Kind of one of those, like, blink and you miss it sort of jokes. There's not a lot of setup or takedown for it. It's just like, okay, yeah, we'll just have this little joke and continue on. And he just does it so smoothly. He's like, Brooklyn.
Yeah, like, without hesitation.
And then she's like, oh, a goober.
Yeah. So did that mean this Peter, like the Peter and Miles universe, would call them goobers as well, and he just called it differently for Miles? So he wouldn't have to explain what a goober was?
Yeah. There's sort of 3 quick hints in this minute that we see, with the final one being like, okay, she takes it and she's like, oh yeah, I know exactly what to do. And then kicks the back door open.
Yeah, like she kicks
like, doesn't bother her. She's like, okay.
I'm like, this is your house. Was that needed?
I like to think it wasn't completely latched. She's like, I gotta, you know, I'm gonna scare these kids, show them I'm not to be messed with.
Or you know what I like to think sometimes? I like to think that the back door gets really stuck sometimes.
Oh, and so that's the only way she can open
like,
it.
She's like, we have to, like, she doesn't go back there that often, but when she does have to go back there, she just has to kick in the door.
Yeah.
Because it's the only way she can get back.
Yeah, it's a little crooked or something, so she's always got to kick it open.
It gets stuck.
But we get, like, these 3 hints that, like, Aunt May was pretty involved with this Peter's superheroing, because she's got the bat, so that could just be like she at least knew about him being Peter beforehand, and she calls it a goober as well, and then she kicks down the door for being an older woman, like
Yeah. She knew exactly where to go either. She's like, well, I knew of it, but I didn't know where he did his work. She's like, I know where to go.
Yeah.
Follow me.
And then the last thing I want to bring up before we talk about the actress is Peter's like, we hear the beginning of him say this, and he's like, oh, I have one of these too, as they're walking towards the shed. And it's just like, he's slipped back into that, like, oh, I gotta seem like, this Spider-Man isn't any better than I am.
It's like, oh, we're the same. Like, it's chill. It's like, it's only the physical differences. That's it.
Yeah, he feels, like, he's like, oh no, this Peter didn't have a better life than me. Like, this Peter's life wasn't perfect. It's not just me. We were just the same.
This is the same. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's trying to rationalize it a bit better.
I did catch that, and I'm like,
So did you have anything else?
That's all I have note-wise. Let's talk about the voice actress.
Yeah, so Aunt May is voiced by Lily Tomlin, who is... Oh boy! She's a pretty big name for this. I would put her up there at the same caliber as Nick Cage of like people that they brought in. So she was born in Detroit, Michigan in 1939, and then started acting in the mid-60s, with her first TV appearance being the third iteration of the Gary Moore Show in 1966. But she had her first like major TV big breakout role was Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In from 1969 to 1973, which was a like sketch comedy show.
Yeah.
And then she was on SNL from 1967 to 1977. And then the first role I knew her in was the voice of Miss Frizzle in The Magic School Bus.
Okay, yeah, I just pulled up and I'm like, that's Miss Frizzle.
Yeah, she reprises the role again in Magic School Bus Rides Again, on which has been airing on Netflix, as Professor Fizzle. So she got a PhD.
Oh, good for her.
Between then and now.
You know what? I'm not surprised that Miss Frizzle would get a PhD. Let's be real here.
Yeah. She also appeared in The West Wing from 2002 to 2006. She was a main character for seasons 3 to 7 in that. And
she's in so much. I'm looking at a movie.
Yeah. She's been in so much that her filmography is on its own Wikipedia page. Which, yeah, currently she's playing the titular Frankie in Grace and Frankie on Netflix, which is currently has 5 seasons aired, and they've already announced a 6th and 7th season, with the 7th one being the final one. To kind of jump back in time again, her breakout film role was playing Lene Reese in Nashville, which came out in 1975, and that was like an ensemble cast at that time. She was already pretty well known then.
She was in 9 to 5.
Yeah, and she also was the first woman to have a solo stage show in Broadway, where she performed the Search for Signs of Intelligent Life in the Universe in 1977 on Broadway. Wow. And then that got turned into a movie in 1991, which she was also in, and that was written by her partner, now wife, Jane Wagner. And she's won Oodles and Oodles Award, been nominated for Oodles and Oodles Awards. She won a Best Actress in a Play in 1986 for the Search for the Signs of Intelligent Life in the Universe. And for some reason, she got a special Tony Award Lifetime Achievement in 1977. That might be... Okay, I think I just put it together. Because that was like really early in her career. But that was probably because she was the first woman of a solo Broadway performance for that show. And so they probably gave the like, hey, you were the first to get this. Here's a special award for you.
Yeah, because the Lifetime Achievement Award that's a big Tony.
Yeah, it's not one of the regular ones. She's also won a Grammy for a comedy album in 1972. She's won 6 Emmys and a Daytime Emmy.
Oh my
god. The Daytime Emmy was for Magic School Bus. And then she's gotten 3 writing Emmys and then an Emmy for a comedy. In 2017, she got the Screen Actors Guild's Lifetime Achievement Award for her, amazing work as a comic for the past umpteen years. How many years it forever. Is? 67 to 17, 50 years. Yeah, well, pretty much for the past 50 years.
They really got like a legend for Aunt May.
Yeah, and she does a great job.
Obviously. She does an amazing job. Like, she kills it. Honestly, I feel we've said it before, but this entire cast does amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, we can keep saying that till we run out of air, until we die from lack of air, and it's still true. Like, they all kill it.
So that was all I had for this minute. Was there anything else that you wanted to bring up?
No, that is it for me.
Well then, thank you for joining us this week. Join us again next week as we see where Aunt May takes them. If you want to reach out to us, you can contact us on Twitter at SpiderVerseMin, MIN, or you can reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, Spider-Verse Minute. And if you want to shoot us an email, you can send one on over to podcast@spiderverseminute.com.
See you next time.
Bye.